Ever feel like you're hitting a wall in life? Like something's holding you back.
Oh, yeah.
Well, today we're exploring if maybe those limitations are all in our heads.
Hmm.
Like, what if we misunderstand reality itself?
Okay, yeah, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
We're always told the world is made up of separate things.
Right.
This microphone, the chair you're sitting on, but
Ah.
what if that's not the whole picture?
Okay. I'm listening.
So today we're going to the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood,
Okay.
a spiritual tradition with a very different view of reality.
Right.
They think everything we see is an expression of one unified source.
So instead of billions of separate things,
Right.
it's like one giant interconnected.
Exactly.
feeling, right?
Yeah. And that something is existence and consciousness.
Okay.
Two sides of the same coin, same reality.
This is getting a little abstract for me.
Right. Well, they have analogies to
Okay.
help explain, like, the ocean and its waves.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one.
Have you?
Something about we're all waves in the same ocean.
That's it. Picture the ocean. All those waves,
Yeah.
different shapes and sizes, seem separate,
Right.
but really they're all just expressions of the same water. They come from the ocean, exist for a bit, then go back to it.
So you're saying we're all just water. Should I swap my coffee for seawater?
Not quite. The point is, the wave isn't separate from the ocean.
Okay.
It's a temporary form the ocean takes.
Okay.
Same with us. We look like individuals, but we're not separate from that source, existence and consciousness.
So my feeling of being a separate person,
Right.
that's an illusion.
You could say mistaking the wave for the whole ocean.
Okay.
The wave has its shape, its movement,
Right.
but it's still water.
Yeah.
And the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood says
Yeah.
our true nature is that limitless existence and consciousness.
Even though we feel like individuals.
Yes, exactly.
This is reminding me of non-duality,
Oh, yeah.
like in Eastern philosophies.
They're seeing the connections. A lot of traditions have this idea that reality isn't actually divided up.
So how's the Brotherhood's idea different? I mean, we all know what existence and consciousness mean.
Well, they use those words
Yeah.
in a much bigger way. They see existence as the ground of all being,
Oh.
the source of everything, the isness of all things.
Okay.
And consciousness.
That's the awareness that makes everything exist.
So without it,
Existence would just be potential, like a calm ocean with no waves.
so consciousness is what gives existence its shape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it goes even further. They say these two
Existence and consciousness.
are the essence of God.
Wait, so this ocean we're all part of,
Yes.
that's God.
That's the core of it. Not a God separate from us,
Okay.
not judging or controlling,
Yeah.
but the ground of our being.
That is a radical concept,
It is.
but kind of freeing, too. If we're all expressions of that,
Right.
do our limitations become illusions, too?
Now you're getting it.
Like the wave in the ocean.
Exactly. If our true nature is limitless,
What does that mean for how we live our lives, our relationships?
well, that's what I'm hoping we can figure out.
Yes,
This is a lot to take in,
it is.
but it's fascinating.
They actually have another analogy.
Oh.
You might like this one. Imagine different pieces of furniture.
Okay, a table, a chair, a bed.
Perfect. They all have different forms and functions,
Right.
but they're all expressions of the same material.
Wood.
Wood or without wood, none of them would exist.
So the wood is like existence and consciousness.
Yes, the underlying reality.
That makes all these different forms.
Exactly. Just like gold can be a ring, a necklace, a coin. Existence and consciousness can be anything. A rock, a tree, a person.
So the essence is always the same,
Yes,
even though it takes on all these different forms.
precisely.
So what looks like separate things
Yeah.
is really just one thing in many forms
Exactly. And that one thing is the divine essence.
of existence and consciousness.
That's right.
So it's not just that everything's connected, it's that everything is the same thing.
You got it. Pretty mind-blowing, huh?
It is. But let's bring this down to earth.
Okay.
How can we use this idea in our everyday lives?
Good question. We'll dive into that right after this.
Okay, so the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood sees reality differently.
Right.
They say it's all one source.
Existence and consciousness.
But how does that actually affect us?
That's the key, isn't it? It's easy to get caught up in the big ideas.
Right.
But the real value is how we can use this to change our lives.
So let's get practical.
Yeah.
If we're all expressions of this one thing,
Yeah.
does that mean we don't have free will?
That's a common question. A lot of people wonder that.
Yeah.
The Brotherhood wouldn't say it's all predetermined, though.
Okay.
Instead, they say our true nature is limitless.
Okay.
And within that, we have the potential to create anything.
So like we're given this huge canvas.
Yeah.
And we can paint whatever we want.
Exactly. But we forget we have that power.
We get caught up in the illusion.
Yes. We focus on the wave and forget about the ocean.
This still feels a bit abstract, though.
Okay.
Can you give me an example? Like how this could change someone's life?
Sure. Imagine someone who's struggling with self-doubt.
Okay.
They feel stuck in their job. They're fixated on their limitations.
Like they're focusing on what they can't do.
Right. Their skills, their experience, their opportunities.
They can't see beyond their current situation.
Exactly. But if they remember their true nature,
That limitless existence in consciousness.
yeah, then their perspective can shift.
So instead of a limited individual,
They tap into that infinite potential inside.
so it's not about ignoring the challenges.
No, it's about seeing them differently.
With more awareness,
Yes, and with more possibility.
recognizing those limitations aren't the whole story.
Exactly. Just temporary expressions, like the wave.
This reminds me of something you said
Mm.
about existence and consciousness being God.
Oh, right.
That feels like a leap of faith.
It can.
What about people who aren't religious? Can this still help them?
Absolutely. Remember, the Brotherhood's idea of God is different.
Okay.
It's not a deity. It's the ground of being, the source of everything.
So it's about acknowledging something bigger than ourselves,
That connects us all.
regardless of our beliefs.
Exactly. You can call it God, the universe, whatever. The label doesn't matter.
Okay, so someone who's not religious but interested in this,
Right.
where do they start?
Pay attention to your thoughts,
Hmm.
your beliefs. Are they holding you back? Are they based on fear?
Oh, yeah, I do that.
We all do. But by noticing those thoughts,
Yeah.
we can start to challenge them
Right.
and replace them with more expansive ones.
So instead of, I'm not good enough,
Exactly.
I can think, I have infinite potential.
Yes. Shift from limitation to possibility.
That can really change things.
It can.
But what about
Oh,
relationships?
that's important.
If we're all connected,
Right.
do we have to accept everyone's behavior?
That's a great question. And it's not about condoning bad actions.
Okay.
Recognizing our connection.
Doesn't mean we become passive.
No, not at all.
Wow.
So how do we balance that with the fact that people sometimes hurt each other?
Exactly.
It's about approaching those situations
Right.
with understanding and compassion.
Even when people are cruel.
Even then, remember they're expressions of that same essence.
Right.
Even if they're acting from pain or ignorance.
To meet anger with understanding.
Not condone it,
Yeah.
but try to understand it.
That's tough.
It is. But it allows us to respond more wisely.
It's like, instead of a battleground,
Yeah.
we see the world as a tapestry,
Oh, I like that.
where every thread, every person adds to the whole.
Beautiful analogy. And that shift in perspective
Yeah.
can change how we interact with everything.
This has been really insightful.
Good, I'm glad.
But I want to know more about the practical side.
Okay.
How can this change how we live day to day?
That's a great question. And one we'll get into right after this.
This deep dive has been a real journey.
Hasn't it?
This whole idea that reality is an illusion.
Yeah.
That we're all expressions of this existence and consciousness.
Like the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood teaches.
Right. And we were talking about
Yeah.
how to actually apply this.
The practical side of it.
Exactly. Because it's one thing to understand it intellectually,
Right.
but how do we actually live it?
It changes everything.
Everything.
Yeah, how we see ourselves, others, the whole world.
Can you give me some examples?
Of course. Think about facing a challenge,
Go ahead.
which we all do.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling overwhelmed or defeated,
Right.
someone who understands this idea
Uh-huh.
might approach that challenge with curiosity.
Instead of fear.
Yes. And openness.
So they see it as a chance to grow.
Exactly. Remember, they're not this tiny self
Okay.
struggling alone.
Yeah.
They're part of this infinite creative force.
That can overcome anything.
That's right. It changes the whole perspective.
It does. Instead of something happening to you,
Yeah.
it's something you can learn from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this also applies to relationships. Imagine someone resenting a coworker.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
We all have. Instead of blame and anger, remembering our connection.
Can help us be more compassionate.
Yes. Understanding instead of anger.
So instead of seeing them as the enemy,
Right.
we remember they're part of the same,
Divine essence.
even if they're being difficult.
Exactly. You're not condoning the behavior,
Okay.
but recognizing they're on their own journey.
And their actions come from somewhere.
Right. Maybe their own pain.
It's like the Brotherhood's idea of God.
Yes.
If we're all expressions of that,
Uh-huh.
we all have that potential.
For both good and bad.
Exactly. We're all capable of amazing things.
And terrible things.
Right. But by remembering, we're connected.
It helps us cultivate compassion.
Forgiveness, too.
Yes.
Understanding.
So we can handle conflict better.
In a more constructive way.
This could also change how we see our own flaws.
Absolutely.
Instead of beating ourselves up,
Yeah.
we can see those flaws as part of who we are.
Part of that unique expression of the divine.
Exactly. Embrace the whole experience.
The good and the bad.
We're all perfectly imperfect.
I like that. So understanding this illusion isn't about escaping reality.
No.
It's about facing it differently.
With awareness, compassion, and that sense of connection.
That we're all in this together.
Exactly. We're part of something so much bigger.
That can give us strength.
Absolutely. Even when things are hard.
This has been a really profound deep dive.
It has.
I'll be thinking about this for a long time.
Me too. That's the point of these conversations.
To challenge us.
To make us think differently and to live our lives with more purpose.
Who knows? Maybe we can even break through the illusion.
Won't that be something? To see reality for what it truly is.
That's a great thought to leave us with.
It is. If we're all connected like this, what does that mean for how we live our lives? How we treat each other? How we treat the planet? Keep diving, everyone.